Hello, guys. Welcome to SACCEED, where we empowering voices and inspiring success. Today, I'm here with William Vang, who's going to share us a little about his personal life and his relationship success story. And so,
Hey,
welcome, Willie, to my second episode.
hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, it's I've heard your stories, so I'm very interested. I would love to share your story. So welcome to the second episode. And so it's kind of unfortunate that your wife is not here today because I would love to. I'm pretty sure a lot of us will have loved to hear her side of the story of your relationship. It's pretty unfortunate, but what can you share us her name?
Yeah, my wife had to work, unfortunately, but her name is Mai Yang. A very common Hmong name.
Yeah. And so Willie, when did you first meet her?
We, I met her back in August 2011, I believe. Close enough. I think August or July.
And so how did you get to meet her? Like, what's the backstory of that?
Well, pretty common. I met her through my cousin. He lived in town with her. They knew each other a long time ago. They kind of grew up together too. And then he just hit me up like, hey, I have a friend if you want to talk to somebody. But at that time I just got out of a long term relationship too. If anything, it was like my first long term relationship. And then I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was just talking to someone, meeting someone new. So I was like, okay, yeah, let me get her number, and I'll text her, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And so, do you think that it was love at first sight when you first met her in person?
That's So, like I said, I just got out of a relationship, so I couldn't say it was love at first sight. You know, it was, but what really caught my attention was her height. She's 5'4", 5'5", so that's pretty tall for a Hmong girl.
Oh yeah,
And
that's really tall.
it was her smile for me too. It was definitely just some nice feature, so that caught my eye.
Other than her physical feature, what other things that you really liked about her?
If anything, it's that she had a sense of humor. Man, I don't know if you could look for forever in someone who doesn't have a good sense of humor. I just couldn't imagine myself being with someone forever and they're just not the smiling, laughing type. Always serious. That would never work for me.
And so, when you guys are still talking, was there distance between you two?
Like I said, she was from a different town, so roughly like 30 minutes plus with no traffic. But it is what it is because for me, I feel like that distance built a stronger relationship just because you just put more trust in someone.
And so, how long did you guys were talking when you decided that, hey, I want to start a relationship with this girl?
Probably a month. You just texting them, getting to know them. So you know, like a month or probably a month and a half.
Did she ever hesitated to say yes, or did she like just clicked and said, "Hey"?
Not right away, but then you go on a couple of dates, see, and it must have worked out because she said yes.
And so, when you guys are still dating, was there any problems that occurred?
Like every relationship, there were some issues that were never really big enough to be like I kind of like a relationship ender kind of thing. So there was always just little arguments here and there.
And so, was this relationship like an on and off thing, or
We did start off like that. I think I'd say the main issue was just I think I was too young at heart, and she was young too. I was roughly 19, almost 20. So you just kind of you don't really know what you want in a person too, but then you just want to be with someone. So I think that played a part in why we were on and off.
yeah? Was there a time in in your relationship that made you feel that this relationship might not work out for both of you?
In the beginning, there was just because, like I said, we were on and off, and then there was just some little issues here and there. But I think, if anything, there was what's the word? A miscommunication. You just, I guess you're just so full of emotion. Sometimes you just don't really like care what their side of the story was, or you're like, you know, you just kind of assume they're kind of lying to you. But I think when you're young like that, you just let those emotions take over.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that. Can you actually give us some advice, especially to these new relationships out there on that are dealing with problems
Mhm.
right now and how they can work it out?
I'd say work on communication. That's the main thing. You just kind of have a take a deep breath, talk about that certain situation, if anything. That would be key. And then, try to listen to her side, what she has to say about it.
And so, how long did you guys dated for before you guys got married?
I'd say we were the first time around, I think we were only like almost 2, 3 months. But it was just a lot going on like that. So it was just easier if we kind of went our own way. So we kind of just split up for roughly like probably 2, 3 months. And then, she kind of reached back to me too. So, we just started talking again. And this time around, you just kind of learn how to control your emotions at the same time. And then after that, we roughly another 6 to 7 months and then got married.
Oh, wow. Did she ever tell you like the exact reasons to why you guys broke up, like in the first place? You said that you guys were split for like 2 or 3 months.
Well, I think that was me more because I think it was because during that time when she always mentioned like certain people you meet whenever you go out and like eat out at the restaurant or whatever. There was just always so much who she knew, but then at the same time you're just like, dang, why do you know so many people? Like, how do you know that guy? You're not even from here, So I think it just you're angry, you're jealous, but then it's like you know, it just that was mostly the emotions that ran through me. So that I think that was why the first time around we didn't work out because those kind of emotions play a big role. And you're just like, man, I don't believe you because like why do you know so many guys here and there when you're not from here? And it's like, is there? Are you talking to other people besides me? But then you couldn't reach out with that. You couldn't communicate like that because when you're mad like that, it kind of like transfer over. Now she's mad at you. Now you're just both not communicating,
Hmm.
and you just spend some days, nights mad at each other, and then
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
wow, we've only been like together for like 2, 3 months. Is this gonna work out? And those kind of feelings and miscommunication happens.
And so, how long have you guys been married for?
Uh, Man, through all that, this month is our anniversary.
Oh,
It'll be 12
congratulations.
months. Thank you. It'll be 12 years this year, this month.
When when did you guys get married?
We got I we counted off as the day I brought her home, so we got married technically on the October 23rd.
Oh wow, it's coming up soon.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. And so, were you actually did you ever in this relationship did you ever consider that you were dating to marriage, or
Uh
did you not expect it?
the first time around it was rough, so we didn't, but second time around, you kind of see through what wasn't there. Because, your first time around, you're just like, oh man, I don't know. There's so much stuff going on. The second time around, when your head's all cleared out, you're just like, hey, this could work out. She could be the one, you know? So,
And so, I want to ask you, if you can, would you have waited a little bit longer before, getting to marry her?
shoot, I don't know the future, but, I probably wouldn't just because what if she said she wouldn't marry me if I replay that again?
Hmm.
But I do want to say one thing. Shout out to your dad. I think for all the Hmong people too, it's like you Shaila Onea, it's really something you just hold on to. You learn from people's relationship too. And
Hmm.
you just kinda I feel like when you want a better future, you see people's future together too, and you're like, wow, I should treat her right because this is something I want. This could be our future as well.
When you guys started dating, did you ever, even before you decided to bring home, did you ever hesitate and think that, hey, she, I might have made a mistake or she might have not been the one?
Mm, well, during marriage, we were just adjusting to living together too. So it was never like, oh man, maybe she's not the one. It's we. I feel like we just kind of went with it, took it one step at a time. It wasn't really more like, hey, I'm gonna leave this ain't the future I want.
And so, did your feelings for her grow during your marriage?
Yeah, it did. It did because that bond as a husband and wife, it's completely different. It's from different from dating. And then now that you're both going through financial struggles, etc., it does build a stronger bond together. Uh, you know, my feelings are still the same for her. I can't speak on her behalf, but I love her, man.
I'm pretty sure she loves you too, dude. And so, were you two actually like mentally or financially prepared to get married?
We weren't honestly just because I feel like uh growing up in a traditional household for a home family, it's just there's a lot of expectation for the nyas and the daughter-in-laws. So she I don't know. I just feel like you can never be mentally prepared for that kind of challenges. Even though the parents always trying to groom the daughters to go through that, but when your parents treat you good, you don't get used to that kind of, I'd say, mental abuse sometimes, just
Hmm.
because you're treated so good, and to prepare someone to go through that kind of patch, it's hard.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that. Did both of your parents actually, approve of this marriage? Did they like your wife, or did your wife's parents like you?
My parents are really traditional, I'd say. So they uh they kind of put a lot on us right at the start. They're like, "Hey, you need to wake up like at 5 and 6 a.m. to make breakfast," all that stuff, and that play a big part of struggles in my relationship in the beginning too, just because she wasn't used to that,
Hmm.
and then I wasn't used to it because as the boy, the man in one of the family, you don't you aren't asked and relied upon to come wake up at 5 in the morning to cook breakfast and stuff. So just some challenges.
And so, what are some sacrifices that you made in this relationship that in order to make it work?
I'd say just time management. You spend a certain time with more people just because you have to balance out your life now. Like, I spend less time with my friends and stuff just because you know you have to dedicate X amount of time to your wife, your family. So that was one thing, especially at a young age when you're used to spending like probably 4 or 5 days hanging out with all the boys. But that wasn't much of a struggle. You just kind of, hey, when they invite you to do stuff, you're just like, oh, I'm busy today, I can't, I gotta go do this and that. And then, but then I'm pretty sure she sacrificed more for our relationship just because it was like a whole completely new environment for her compared to where she was at. Because I'm from Sacramento, a lot of it is ghetto. So she's from the suburb, Marysville. So it's there's less ghetto compared to here, and there's like a lot of traffic. It's just a whole different environment.
Oh man, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, so I'd say her sacrifices and struggle is a lot more compared to what I had to give up.
Hmm. And so, I want to ask you, did you two ever talk about wanting kids in this relationship?
Definitely, for sure, we wanted a bigger family just because I'm from a big family, and she's from a small family too. So she always wanted a bigger family.
And were you two prepared to have kids?
We weren't, but I'll say this that you're could never be really ready for kids. You know, like if a lot of people say they want to be financially stable before they have kids, but there's a lot more to that too. It's like you I feel like you could never really train yourself to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna wake up at 2 in the morning to make a bottle for this baby." You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of whole mental challenges that comes into it too. So you're never really mentally prepared for it.
And so did you two how did things change between you two now that you guys have kids?
I'd say the love is stronger. You know, you already have a lot of love for each other, but then it's more like this. We made this. This is us, and we're still going to continue to build. But this is us right now. It's like wow, especially when you're watching them grow up, man. It's like you're you're like wow. By the time you know it, she's 2, and now she's riding her own bike. She's 5, 6. She's 10 now. It's like it's crazy.
And oh yeah, I completely agree. With kids, do you think that it was kids that was love at first sight?
For the kids, definitely. I I can't explain that feeling. It's one of the things you have to go through yourself. But when you first hold them and see them and look right into their eyes, you're just like, man, I would give up the world for you.
Hmm.
So I don't know what kind of love is stronger than that.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree on that one. And I can't wait to get married either to have my own kids one day.
Whenever you're ready, man. Even though it worked out eventually for me, but it's a struggle and it's definitely not for everybody at an early age. But
Hmm.
it is possible, you know, a lot of things you got to get over, especially I'd say the main struggle would be for the Hmong people. It's the gender roles. You have to. I feel like we have to move past that, and I'd say it's more like life and survival skills, which is good because you know you got to teach your kids how to cook, boys and girls. You know, you got to teach them how to clean and cook, do your own laundry. You know, you have to stop depending on a certain someone because they're
Hmm.
never going to be in your life forever.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the Hmong community really needs to work and change that from the very conservative and traditional point of view as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, were there any conflicts between you two now that you guys have kids?
Uh, no, between ourselves, definitely not. It's more of like a work struggle, life struggles. Like, you know, you have to do work and come home in time so she can go to work. Just those kind of struggle. But uh, for me, everything went is pretty good.
And so, how many kids do you have right now, Willie?
I have 4 daughters right now, but I have my baby boy is finally coming. My wife is due in December, so by the
That's
end of the
very soon.
year, yes, sir.
And did you ever wanted a boy?
I do, but you know what? Growing up, you see people struggle with infertility, and you know, some personal, some close friends, some it's just other people, and you just see them struggle, and it's so sad to see because it really hurts their relationship. And so, you know, you take your blessings. You know, I have 4 daughters; they're beautiful, man. I wouldn't trade them.
Did you ever wanted a boy? Like, let's say, if you only had girls, would you have kept trying until you have a boy?
We plan on a certain number, but we originally planned for 2 boys and 2 girls, but you know that didn't work out. We talked about it, and then probably 6, and that's where we would stop with or without a boy. So it's not an issue. I could accept it. I could live with it. It doesn't bother me.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I've definitely seen some families out there who either it's all boys and all girls, and they kept trying until they get like the
Yeah.
opposite sex, and
Hmm.
they have that
I
big
feel
family.
like that's really dumb to let that affect your relationship. Just
Hmm.
because you know, if anything, genetically talking, it's the guy who give out the boy genes. So you know, I know they like to play the blame game, but you know, definitely it's more of blame on the guys. So
Hmm.
I just hate that people ruin their relationship just because of something that's pretty much out of your control, pretty much, unless you go pay and talk to all the fertility specialists. But aside from that, I just feel like it's really done to ruin your relationship for that.
And so, can you give it and that's like some advices to new parents out there on what they could do now with now they have kids?
It's very hard to prepare for that, but if anything, I'd say that don't forget to be there for your wife. The one topic I do want to talk about, it's uh postpartum for the women. They go through a hard time and they can go into depression with all the changes happening back to their body. And I'd say that for the guys, you try to give an extra helping hand and definitely just help her out more, make it easier for her. Just because you know there are numbers that women do take their own lives just because they go through that. So I'm not saying people all go through it, but there are cases out there that happens. So mentally try to be there for them as well. Just take a load off their.
And how did your wife go through postpartum? And how did you help her?
You know what? I just did what I told people right there. I just gave an extra hand around the house. You just help clean up, cook. Just to make sure they don't carry anything heavy, just for their own health and physical issues. And yeah, you just watch your kids. The kids are demanding you give an extra hand around the house. That's probably the easiest thing you could probably do to help them, just to get that off their chest.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I've also seen some things on the internet
Hmm.
that states what you just said, that
Hmm.
sometimes women goes through very deep depression, and if the guy's not there to support uh
Hmm.
their wife, they can actually deal some mental, some physiological damage to themselves. So I definitely agree with you on that one.
Definitely. It's really important to be there for your partner in those kind of times. Some guys, especially, they're selfish. They'll go out, but I feel like though that should be a priority. So, you can always go out next time. Be there for your partner. That's really important.
And so now I want to talk a little about you. And so how did you maintain, yourself and take care of yourself during your relationship and this marriage?
I'd say take time for yourself. Every I don't always get to go, but every other weekend I'll go fishing. That's what I like and love. That's my passion. And one day out of the week, just to clear your mind, go fishing, man. Go do something you like. It's great to get away from people. It's great to do what you love. Even if you don't catch anything, it's just great to go out, man. Clear your head. That's a really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like some relationships, guys don't get the opportunity to actually take
Mhm.
care of themselves, to actually appreciate themselves in this relationship. And so I want to ask you, how did you manage to balance, your work, your marriage, and your time to yourself, and of course your friends that which you would hang out with?
Um, you, it was hard. I honestly I don't even know how I really did it. It was just with your friends, if you have understanding friends, it's okay, you can always hang out next time. What I really did was just mostly it was just work and watch the kids, and then shoot, that was really it. Because, you don't have as much time, and it's really important that you get some kind of sleep while the kids are sleeping. So, you kind of think about it like, oh, I could go out for a few hours, but then just know that by the time you get back, your baby's up. So now you have to stay up with your kid. So now it's like, hey, I could just stay in, get some rest, or I can go out and suffer, man. Man, you don't want to do that. We'll
Hmm.
stay in until like 2, 3, 4 in the morning with the kid. Man, you're most of the time in the daytime, you're dead, man. You're tired. Energy drinks don't help. Sleep don't really help no more too. Sometimes you just wake up more tired. So Definitely. Think about consequences just from your action. Just because, you get, yeah, for sure you get to hang out with your friends for a couple hours, but man, it takes heavy toll, man.
And so now I want to ask you, what are some of your shared goals that you share with her in this relationship of yours?
Well, for the most part, our most important goal is we really want to be able to buy a house together. That's one of our main goals. So we did make a big move. We're no longer in Sacramento. We moved to Minnesota. It's just a change of scenery. It helped because I feel like back in Cali, I was always like, whenever I applied to all these jobs, I was always like, man, will they ever call me, man? I call and follow up. But once I moved to Minnesota, man, there's so much employment opportunities. Man, it's a great confidence booster. I'm just like, they'll probably call me by Friday,
Mhm,
instead of wondering will they ever call. So and then I went through a lot of interviews before I picked the job I wanted. That's the thing too. You picked the job you wanted. You weren't like, well, I need to go work here and there because I need this job.
mhm.
Man, you have like multiple jobs reaching out to you.
And so was this, moving to a different state, was this a big step for you guys? Were you guys expecting it?
We talked about it here and there. We never interested. But once she finished her schooling for her certificate for shoot, what was the word for it? The It was pretty much a job at the hospital, but we waited months, 3 to 4 months. No one got back to her, man. So we came to visit Minnesota. I was like, hey, you should apply here. You know, all the hospitals are fairly close, etc. So she applied, and probably like Thursday night, and then Friday morning, a couple jobs called her for an interview already. And then
Wow.
that next week stretch, she had like 6, 7 job interviews, and man, we just kind of picked the best one and went with it. The main thing about the move was that in the future for our kids, we wanted them to, if they ever go to college, we want them to be able to find jobs at least, and that played a big part. And we went with it, man. It was a big step. I miss everybody back home.
Was your wife still going through school when you guys are still back in Cali?
She had already finished prior to before we decided to move.
And how did you support her through school?
Man, you you just work, work, and uh, give her some space to study, and you just provide dinner, man. That was pretty much it. You just give her that hour or two apiece just so she could focus.
And so I want to ask you, reflecting back, were there some things that you wish you could have done differently, either with yourself or a situation back in the past?
Probably focus more in school. I was never a school guy. Tried college. It wasn't really for me, and I think when for being home too in the Asian community too, it's like your parents always you to want to be something like a doctor or like an engineer. When you don't pick that profession, you don't get that kind of support you want and need. So
Mm,
that was kind of what I went through, and then I wanted to be a business management entrepreneur major, and then my dad's were like, "Why? You're gonna waste your time." So he was never really supportive in most cases. He was just like, "Okay, I'll take you to school, but I mean, you're just wasting your time." Pretty much, he's always telling me that don't do it. So I did lose focus and track of myself, and without that kind of support, I was just like, I should just stick to work. So sadly, I could have done better, and I should have, but it's not too late for me. So and when I'm getting a good situation, maybe I might go back to school for something.
oh yeah, going back to school is never too late, honestly. And so I want to ask you, can you provide some tips or some advice to new relationships or marriages out there?
Definitely. I said this earlier, but it's important to get rid of that kind of gender role. Traditional home parents, they have like a negative influence on some people, and I'd say move past that. I did go through that, and I decided that I'm going to focus on my immediate family, my wife and kids. So, I stopped listening to my parents. We had issues, but we moved past it. So I feel like it's important to get over that role where you help her clean, you help her cook, you're helping do the laundry so that she can do this and that so that she can go to work. Uh, Definitely that. And most importantly, I'd say that learn from people's mistake. You see some people, I see people that I used to talk to, especially like girls and stuff. Uh, they're still out at the clubs and they're like in the early and mid 30s. It's like, I see you've been doing that since you were like 17. Why are you still doing that? Act your age.
Hmm.
I'm not saying don't have fun no more, but you have kids at home and you're like leaving your kids with your in-laws or your parents. It's like you should be prioritizing your partner and your kids. So I'd say that that's probably the most important advice I'll give out today because like at the end of the day, it's your relationship, and you you put into work to make it work.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And so, how did you show your love to your wife? And were you still in that lovey-dovey stage that you guys still had when you guys were still dating?
I think we're past the lovey-dovey. I think if we at this time in our relationship, we're more focused on more like being grateful to each other. Just having your partner in your life. We're in that phase. We're like she works second shift, so I come home around 2 3, and then I make dinner, and then it'll have something for her when she's coming back home, so she doesn't have to worry about making food, or if she's hungry, she has something nice and warm ready to eat. Just to continue doing the little things. You know, uh, one more advice I would say is that don't stop dating your partner. Make time for each other. Go out for boba. Go out for Starbucks. Go watch a movie, man. Sometimes people are like, I'll just wait until it comes out on Netflix, but it's like, it's not the point. Go spend time together.
Oh yeah. And so, I want to ask you, how can somebody show their love to their partner? Know that they've been married for so long.
You know what? I'd say that uh, doing the little things like that, like I was saying, just because, sometimes the men, especially, they get too used to a relationship. They're like, I'm just gonna stop doing this. It's like, you know, why should I keep doing this? I already have you. It's like it's not the point. It's to keep her. So that too, and then yeah, I think that's really it, honestly, because at this point, I feel like the little things helped a lot.
And so, before we end this, I want to ask you, what are some words you want to share to your wife if she's watching this?
Thank, thank you for being a loving and understanding wife. I know I'm a big headache sometimes, but I appreciate everything you do for me and the kids. Uh, Thank you for pushing me to always be a better person, a better version of myself. I wouldn't be here in this position without you, and just I love you. You're my everything.
All right, thank you, Willie, for joining me for my second episode. I think a lot of people learned a lot from you today about,
Thanks,
having.
man. If it is, if they take anything from this, I hope it's that they don't stop taking care of their partner, man. It's real important. Don't stop doing the little things. They might not say anything, but it means so much. People don't even know it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Again, Willie, thank you so much for sharing your success story. It's very
Right.
inspirational. I hope people take your advice, and I can't wait until you two have your son in December. And again,
Thank you.
congratulations on your anniversary, and of course,
Mhm.
your son. So thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
man.
coming
Thanks
on.
for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, and thank you again.